Hey guys, it's Dr. Simonelli. So, um, I guess welcome to COVID Island style. I've been taking some time to think about how I wanted to respond to COVID in the field because there's a lot of things that have been happening, but living through them just like you have is a little bit intense and sometimes a little bit traumatizing. So before I reported on it, I thought it would be best to just give my own self some time to think and process as well. So after speaking to colleagues, it seems like even Virginia didn't really take, and the US, a lot of it seriously for a bit of time. Whereas things were a lot different here in the islands, so I thought I would go and talk in a few installments about the effects of, how this is taken across the Pacific. So I've been in Samoa and Vanuatu and now in the Marshall Islands. So I first arrived in Samoa with my research assistant in January 24th. And on January 24th, and as early as January 24th, when we first arrived in Samoa, we had a full medical check upon arrival. So once we arrived in the airport, that means we had to get our temperature taken. They did a full history, like, have you had this, have you had that, where have you been? And if we had either had any of those things in terms of like symptoms, or we had been to certain countries, they were ready to deport us right away. Not grant us entry, out on the next flight, done freaking deal. So they took this a heck of a lot seriously right away. And part of the reason why is because these smaller islands do not have the capacity to deal with anything traumatic. They have small populations. Many are fairly unhealthy already, depending on the foodstuffs that are brought in. Because some islands are more mountainous, like Samoa, so they actually have a pretty good amount of food that comes in, but or that they can grow already. But their hospitals just cannot take the kind of influx of patients, nor do they have the personnel and the supplies. So right away, they were trying to make sure that if they didn't have to deal with it, they weren't going to. So they took care of that right away. Same thing when we get into Vanuatu. Have you been here if you hadn't been there? And we were transiting in through Fiji, so kind of same thing. Had you been here, had you been there? They were taking up-to-date notes. We had to fill up cards everywhere. Temperature taken when we got off the plane here in the Marshall Islands as well. Same kind of thing right away. They weren't kidding. They weren't messing around. Although they weren't deporting people here, they were just starting to take information. So in transit right away, they weren't messing around here. Within a few weeks of being here, I was able to get the research assistant, Caitlin, out pretty quickly, which was good on her regularly scheduled flight, because right afterwards, there was a travel ban on all incoming passengers to the RMI put in place. So at that point, basically, that was it. No more people in this country. So I have been trapped here without a way out for weeks now. So at this point, I'm now finally getting out. Monday, it's Sunday, which is still the future for you, on April 13th. And it's been weeks, but because no incoming passengers have been able to come in, a lot of outbound flights have been canceled. There's 2 airlines that come into the Marshall Islands, which is United, which is an island hopper from Hawaii to Guam and back. And then Nauru Air, which comes in through Nauru and Fiji, which also can go out to Brisbane. Both of them have stopped. So it's a little bit about my situation at the moment. I thought maybe you'd be interested to see. I'm going to do a couple other installments and some of the other details of it, but take this for background, and then I will give you a little more about the implications of what this looks like. But I know it looks like I could be left somewhere slightly less pretty. At least the view is good, but the situation here has devolved in a lot of ways, and the work here I've been doing has changed a lot into sort of like the devolvation of like the governance situation. But I am glad all of you are there and safe. Working in the islands can be lonely enough, and trust me, you do not want to be trapped here without a flight out. Love you guys, and I hope to be back in Richmond fairly soon.